Now, there was one park on this entire trip I did over in the UAE that truly blew me away more than any other park in Dubai. Have you ever seen a movie and said, I would love to see that as a theme park attraction? Well, there's this park in Dubai, this massive park in Dubai that finally turns those movies into iconic theme park attractions. And low-key does it better than a lot of the big players in the game. So let's talk about Motiongate Dubai in this episode of TPH Asia. So Motiongate Dubai, it's the crown jewel of Dubai parks and resorts. We touched on the other parks that are in this central hub, but similar experience to the others. You walk into Riverland. It's essentially the city walk for this massive hub of theme parks, and you are connected to 3 different theme parks. You either have Legoland Dubai, Real Madrid World, or Motiongate. Motiongate is the largest one, and it definitely is the best out of the 3. It's really the only park out of all of these resorts that I would truly say is a full-day destination. I think out of all the parks we did on this entire trip, Motiongate was the one we spent the most time in the UAE as a whole. And it's not just because the park itself is really good, but it's because there is a ton to do in this park. I mean, the second you're walking in, you go down this massive pathway, and it's this iconic entrance, this film strip that truly adds to the presence of Motiongate. And the second you walk in, you walk down like a Hollywood boulevard. It's incredibly well themed. It truly gives the vibes of places like California Adventure, Walt Disney Studios, Hollywood Studios, this truly California type vibe with movie feel. And what I liked with this one is it was just a little bit retro, so it kind of felt like a time capsule in a way, and I love the vibes of those kinds of parks. And when you get to the middle of the park, you have 3 different sections you can go into. You have the Lionsgate area, the DreamWorks indoor area, or where we chose to start our day, the Columbia Pictures area. So again, when I list these 3 movie studios, you are well aware of what I'm talking about. You've heard of what I'm talking about, but you would never see a ride themed after these movie pictures. So we start in Columbia Pictures, and we kick off our day with the Green Hornet high-speed chase. It's a Gershlower bobsled coaster, and these are basically Wild Mouse coasters that are actually good. It goes away from the traditional Wild Mouse and truly adds some excitement to it. I always love these kinds of rides, and I thought this was one of the better versions of this attraction. It was very smooth, very fun, and perfect for all ages. Then we walked over to one of my favorite sections of the park, the Zombieland area, and they have the S&S shot tower featured in the first Zombieland film. Now, one thing you should know about me, I love Zombieland. It's one of my favorite comedies of all time just because of how stupid it is, but the fact it combines horror, thriller, and comedy all into one movie, my 3 favorite genres. And the whole queue is very well themed. It's themed after this like abandoned fun house, and what I love in the pre-show video is it shows you, and then in a very similar style shows people in the queue, but zombies have now invaded the queue and they're eating people in the queue, and it's very funny because it looks very, very realistic. And the shot tower itself is really good. The initial launch is great, but the turbo drop on it might be the most intense drop on any S&S tower I've ever done. So this honestly was a massive surprise. We then ventured into something that Universal should have done years ago. They have a Ghostbusters interactive dark ride, the Battle for New York. Come on, what are we doing, Universal? How can a park in Dubai have this, but not you? And this one gets a lot of criticism because, yes, the graphics aren't great and the attraction itself isn't that good, but you board an Ecto-1 and you're shooting ghosts across all of the iconic Ghostbuster sets from the first movie. I don't care how bad the graphics are, this is a win. And some of the sets honestly impressed me. The whole time I'm riding this, I was like, come on, because it was so good. And we can't do it. Universal can't do this. Then we hit up the Hotel Transylvania Dark Ride. Again, another movie franchise that I do love. Another movie franchise that I think an attraction would do justice. And no one has taken the bait and has tried to do it yet until Motiongate Dubai. The whole queue is the lobby for this area, and it's so well themed. And then you board your vehicle, and I love the style of this dark ride. It's similar to something like, think Popcorn's Revenge at Wallaby, Belgium, if you've heard of that ride or know what I'm talking about. There's this massive hub, it's a trackless style ride, and you're moving through the lobby, and there's different rooms, and every room you go in, there's going to be a different scene. Everything is physical, there's very little, I believe there were no screens at all in the entire ride. Everything was super, super well themed, and sure, it may not be one of the most impressive rides out there, but I thought It finally gave Hotel Transylvania an attraction, and I really, really enjoyed it. Columbia Pictures also has a Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs River Rapids ride. I do hear quite often this is one of the best river rapids in the world. I did choose not to do it because it was cold the day we were there, and I didn't feel like being wet for the rest of the day, so we opted not to do it, but it is and looks like a very cool attraction, so I do recommend checking that out when you're in that area. Then there's the Lionsgate Pictures area that is home to one of my all-time favorite movie franchises, and they've turned it into a coaster and a dark ride. But before we get into that, there are two other attractions in this area. There's John Wick Open Contract, which was unfortunately closed when we went. It's an SNS 40 free spin. It looked very good. I hear the queue for this thing is exceptional, so I look forward to going back one day to experience that ride. But they have Now You See Me High Roller. Now You See Me is a great movie franchise in my opinion. I never would have thought in a million years there'd be a ride based off of it, but sure enough there is. It's a Mauer spinning coaster, and it's very well done. There's like a non-inverting loop on it that's very unique. The ride is very fast. It's very fun. It's a longer Mauer spinner layout. I really enjoyed it. I definitely thought it was one of the better Mauer spinners out there. I love a good unique layout for these kinds of attractions. I just wish there was a little more theming during the actual ride portion and not just all in the queue. Then there was the Pan Am aerial tour. So this is like a flying theater like Despicable Me meeting Mayhem type ride. So it's a simulator attraction where you're essentially going to get a tour of the Capitol from President Snow and Effie, and you board your vehicle and you're launching from District 12, but apparently this is like a trap. They're trying to kidnap you, so the rebellion in District 13 saves you. And there are a lot of aspects of this attraction I did enjoy. I liked how when you walked into the station and boarded the ride vehicle, everything was District 12. And when you came back into the station after the ride ended, everything was District 13. So that was very, very cool. The attraction itself could have been a bit better. I thought the graphics looked good, and I loved the surrounding dome-like screen on this attraction, but I just wish it did a little more. There's a little more movement. Maybe graphics were just a little bit better. I think if the ride was a bit more intense and a bit longer, it would be a much better attraction. But right now, it's just okay. I thought it was very solid for what it did. Then there's the Capitol Bullet Train. This is a mock multi-launch coaster, and I love these kinds of rides. The queue is themed literally to the bullet train you take to get to the Capitol, so I was freaking out in there. I thought it was super sick. And the coaster itself, really well done. We got placed in the middle row, but man, was it a great ride. It's one of those swing launch ones, so you launch forward halfway up the loop, launch backwards up a vertical spike that is very, very good, and then you launch forward through the loop and you go through the rest of the layout. The ejector airtime moments on this are very, very good. There's some great pops on it. There's like this long twisted S-bend that's really sick. Like I said, the spike is definitely the highlight of the ride. It's definitely a very short attraction. I just wish there was a little bit more. The launches have absolute zero power to it. You make fun of the Copperhead launch, this one is 10 times worse. But the attraction itself is really fun. I do wish I got to ride it again, but there was a complaint because of that I will get to later. So then we headed into the DreamWorks indoor area that again was very, very well done. This might be one of the best indoor park areas I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Essentially, this whole area is fully based off of different DreamWorks franchises, and there's different sections for different movies. So there's the Shrek area, this fully immersive themed area. It has lots of little kiddie flat rides, but it's also home to one of the greatest dark rides I've ever done, Shrek's Merry Fairy Tale Journey. You'd completely transform into this puppet world where everything is wooden carvings. And man, it was super impressive. So many sets on this were super well done. It was such a long dark ride too. We used a trackless system. It was just very different, but super, super good. This truly blew me away. This might be my favorite attraction in the whole park. I honestly was just mind blown by how good this ride is. But if there's any other attraction I would say that could rival this, it is Dragon Gliders in the How to Train Your Dragon area. You walk into this fully immersive How to Train Your Dragon area. You have this night sky, you have the Dragon Gliders coaster soaring around you, you have like a splash pad, a pirate ship ride, everything is super well themed. And then you go on Dragon Gliders, and it's one of these mock inverted powered coasters. Dare I say, this is the best How to Train Your Dragon attraction that exists in the world. Sorry, Epic, but it is. It's this perfect mix of coaster and dark ride. It blends screens and physical sets perfectly. The finale section where you're soaring over the whole land with Test Drive playing, man, it is just such a good ride. I was blown away. It's going to be a bit more thrilling than the likes of something like Arthur at Europa Park. This ride truly stunned me. I could not believe how good it was. Again, I wish I could have gotten a second ride, but we just unfortunately ran out of time. Finally, there's the Madagascar area of the park, and this area is really well done. It's going to be based off of the third movie, so a lot of the circus themed, lots of rainbow colors in there, and there is the Madagascar Mad Pursuit roller coaster. It's a Gerstlauer Infinity coaster, and this thing is super fun. Has a very punchy launch, and that first section where it does like S-bend up into a massive drop is very, very good. I love the little, I guess, outdoor section it does when it goes outside of the show building into the main area. It's super sick, and I love all the little physical sets that are throughout this attraction. It honestly is very well done. I was blown away by how good this coaster was. It's definitely going to be probably the tamest Gerstlauer Infinity coaster, but in my opinion, these are such underrated coaster models. They're one of my all-time favorites, and this thing still packs a great punch that all ages can ride and thrill seekers can still enjoy. Finally, there's a Kung Fu Panda themed area. They had an amazing Chinese restaurant that had some of the best Chinese food I've had in a theme park, and they're also home to Kung Fu Panda Unstoppable Awesomeness. Very similar to the Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon ride at Universal. It's going to be this motion-based 3D simulator that's very fun. I thought it was one of the weaker attractions in the whole park, but it still was a very solid ride. Again, families would love it. It was just a very solid attraction for what it was. So there was really not one bad attraction in all of Motiongate. The whole park truly blew me away. But I just have one complaint with this park, and that is the operations. So many dark rides, coasters, all the above would take 5, sometimes 10 minutes to dispatch a vehicle, and it just definitely makes you enjoy the experience significantly less, especially because you would look in the line, you only see 20 people in front of you, but yet you're still waiting like 15 minutes. Same thing, if you had a full switchback in front of you, you are waiting an hour. So this was an issue with rides like Capital Bullet Train, Now You See Me, even Kung Fu Panda. We waited 30 minutes to an hour and a half for these attractions when there was maybe around 100 people in front of us. And especially on rides like Capital Bullet Train where, you know, that's a 6-train wait. Why is it taking over an hour? That's my one complaint with this park. I just wish that operations were a little better, but overall the theming, the presentation, and the rides themselves are really, really good. There's also these massive pads over in the park that are made for expansion, and man, I cannot wait to see what this park truly does next. So overall, if you only have time for one theme park in the city of Dubai, I'm going to tell you to go to Motiongate. It is no doubt the best. I had the time of my life there. I cannot wait to go back and experience all of these attractions again. Well, that'll do it for the Dubai section of this trip, and now we have to head over to Abu Dhabi and experience everything that Yas Island truly has. So I'll see you in the next episode of TPH Middle East.